The story begins inside a bustling gaming cafe where a group of boys discusses a new Kangchi map on DC. One of them mentions how he reached first place right after waking up, but admits the map is insanely difficult. Another boy comments that Kangchi isn't human, wondering how he always secures the top spot so quickly whenever a new map is released. A third boy speculates that Kangchi must be using a bot, claiming it doesn't make sense otherwise. Sitting nearby, someone turns to our MC and teasingly accuses him of using bots too. He also questions why he always eats at the cafe despite making so much money. The MC casually responds, stating that the food there is really good, and also mentions that he hit first place again, telling the other to be ready. The guy responds in disbelief, jokingly calling him a bot for treating first place like it's a given. Hearing all this, the MC quietly reflects on their words. He admits to himself that they're not entirely wrong. The only place he truly finds fun is in the world of games, especially in creating maps. After leaving the gaming cafe, his friend says goodbye and reminds him not to forget about treating him, considering how loaded he is. The MC nods and says goodbye in return. As he walks alone, the MC starts thinking about his obsession with the game. He believes it's because the real world feels completely out of his control. In games, everything feels easier. He can shape things freely, while in real life, even something as basic as a telephone pole feels immovable. If it were in a game, he could change its shape and size with a simple click. While lost in thought, he unknowingly stops in the middle of the road. A truck comes speeding toward him. As it approaches, the MC calmly reflects on the situation, thinking how unfortunate it is that in reality, he can't just remove obstacles like a truck on a whim. The truck driver slams the brakes just in time. The MC is startled, briefly thinking he was about to get isekai'd. The truck driver yells at him angrily, asking if he's trying to die and what he was even looking at. Unbothered, the MC simply points at the traffic signal. The driver, confused, looks at the signal and realizes the light had changed. Walking away, the MC continues his thoughts, feeling frustrated. He wishes he could alter the real world as easily as a game. If that were possible, everything would be much more convenient. He could build the kind of world he truly wants. Suddenly, at a nearby construction site, a heavy metal object slips and falls toward a little girl standing on the roadside. The MC notices it just in time. He realizes that, for now, the only thing he can control is his own body. Without hesitation, he rushes forward and pushes the girl out of harm's way. The object crashes down on him instead. Blood pours from his body as he lies there, fatally injured. As life slips away, he thinks to himself that this is what real life is. With that final thought, he closes his eyes. The scene shifts to a mysterious space filled with complete darkness. The MC finds himself suspended in this void, questioning his surroundings. He wonders where he is, confused by the blackness that feels like a black hole. He questions if he's even dead. Suddenly, he hears a voice calling him immortal and mentioning the hell of oblivion. The voice declares that it's time for him to face reality. Shocked, the MC demands to know who the voice belongs to and what this hell of oblivion means. The mysterious entity explains that death is merely a path to reincarnation and offers to help him recall his memories. The MC, frustrated, asks the voice to speak more clearly. In response, the voice instructs him to open his eyes. Terrified, the MC suddenly finds himself being reincarnated into someone else's body. As he regains consciousness, he notices that he is inside a castle. Seeing his reflection in a window mirror, he realizes that the face he's looking at is now his. Confused, he questions if he really died and starts to wonder if he got isekai'd just like in anime. The sensation feels too real to be a dream. He looks around and concludes that he's in an old castle, but he has no idea who he is now. Without warning, a girl named Caldera appears and suddenly stabs him in the back with her sword. He feels intense pain as the blade pierces through his sternum. As blood pours from his body and he drops to his knees, Caldera taunts him, asking if he thinks he'll die. The MC tries to understand what just happened and asks her why she attacked him. Caldera laughs and says she did it because she hates him and wants to get rid of him. She moves in to strike again, and the MC panics, realizing she really intends to kill him. Before she can land another blow, someone intervenes, knocking her sword away. This person is named Tarma. Caldera questions why Tarma is interfering again, and he reminds her that she shouldn't be doing this to her brother. The MC, still confused and in pain, wonders who this new person is. Tarma approaches and calls him Kella, revealing the name of the person whose body the MC now inhabits. He offers Kella a bottle of water to drink. As the MC drinks it, he assumes it must be a potion. Tarma, amused, comments on how easily he drank it today. Suddenly, the MC feels a burning sensation in his throat and spits it out, overwhelmed by the pain and heat. He wonders why he has to suffer like this. In the next moment, the atmosphere changes as the Demon King Hel Khaldun returns from his hero hunt. Caldera and Tarma immediately address him as father, which shocks Kella. He can't believe that the Demon King is his father. The Demon King appears furious and demands an explanation for the noise he's hearing. Caldera and Tarma begin to panic and apologize, but he grabs them both by the neck and lifts them into the air. He declares that the cries of the weak have no place within the Demon King's castle. Both siblings plead for forgiveness. but the Demon King shows no mercy. Kella watches in horror, realizing that if these two are his siblings, then this terrifying figure must really be his father. The Demon King continues, stating that only two sounds are worthy in his castle: the birth of a great demon and the sound of an honorable death. With those words, he tightly grabs Caldera and Tarma by the neck, causing them to scream in pain before they both pass out. After that, the Demon King turns and walks away. Terrified, Kella reflects on his situation. He accepts that he truly has reincarnated into another world, but laments the cruel twist of fate, being reborn as the son of the Demon King himself. The scene shifts to a memory of little Kella crying as he tells his mother that Caldera poked his eye with a fork. His mother responds coldly, acknowledging the pain. He then complains that Tarme poisoned his food. She suggests he should take revenge like a true demon. Kella hesitates, saying that if he retaliates, Caldera and Tarme might kill him. Without flinching, his mother tells him to kill them first before they get the chance. Kella is stunned by her words. She continues, reminding him that his father became the great Demon King by killing 12 of his own brothers. Her point is simple. If someone tries to kill you, you kill them first. She then demonstrates by stabbing a knife into Kella's stomach, stating that this is how a demon should act. Kella begins to cry, and just then, the horrifying nightmare ends. He wakes up, startled, in his bed. Beside him, his personal servant stands and asks if he's awake. He recalls that this is the body he reincarnated into. The memories belong to Kella Khaldun. The injuries he sustained have fully healed, thanks to the body's remarkable regenerative abilities. The servant informs him that he has slept for quite a while and that it's almost time for the family meal. She asks him to get ready. He agrees. This servant is named Rin, and she has always served Kella personally. Compared to his siblings, Kella had always been timid and thus constantly belittled. A past memory reveals Rin asking him to wear specific clothes for a party. Kella questions her, noting that his brother's servant dresses him instead. Rin offers to let him dress her in return, making Kella nervous and prompting him to say he'll dress himself. Later, Rin tells him his task for the day is to clean the blanket. Kella protests, saying it's her job as his servant. But before he can say more, Rin lies down and falls asleep on his bed, leaving Kella dumbfounded. Back in the present, the reincarnated Kella reflects on the past. He wonders how someone born as the Demon King's son could allow himself to be intimidated by a servant. It's clear Kella had always been bullied and powerless. Even in this world, his life resembles the misery of his past one. In both, the weak are crushed. He heads to the dining hall where the rest of the family waits. The Demon King comments on his lateness. Kella feels the overwhelming presence of his father and understands why he's feared as the Demon King. He apologizes and takes a seat. As he settles in, Caldera suddenly stabs a knife into his foot under the table, causing sharp pain. She sarcastically urges him to eat more. Kella becomes anxious, knowing that if they ever discover his true identity, he could be in serious danger. He thanks her and begins eating quietly. However, he quickly realizes that the food tastes off. It might be poisoned. Tarmi laughs and tells him the soup was specially prepared, asking if it tastes good. Kella agrees while suppressing his rage. He decides he's had enough. These people are not his family. He refuses to be bullied any longer. Determined to change his fate, he remembers how he once became the strongest map designer in a game, but had no control over real life. He swears never to die helplessly again. With resolve, Kella lifts his plate and throws it straight into Caldera's face, telling her to enjoy the soup made by Tarme. Then, he pulls the knife out of his foot and hurls it at Tarme, saying it's a gift from Caldera. The Demon King is visibly shocked by this sudden outburst. Kella then turns to his father and questions why demons should sit together for a happy family meal. He declares that from now on, they should eat alone. With that, he sweeps all the food off the table and onto the floor. All three, Caldera, Tarme, and the Demon King, are left stunned. Kella, filled with anger and determination, silently vows to see who will come out on top in this battle of wills. After storming out, Kella finds a quiet place to sit and gather his thoughts. He feels a surge of satisfaction despite the consequences. Even though he flipped the dining table and was beaten nearly to death, he recovered in a remarkably short time. A strange power courses through his body. This strength doesn't feel ordinary. It confirms that he truly is the Demon King's son. Now he wonders just how powerful this ability could be. Soon, Rin approaches and reminds him that it's almost time for his lesson on demonic power, urging him to hurry. Annoyed, Kella snaps back, telling her to stop giving him orders. Rin is confused and wonders what's causing him to act this way. Kella recalls that this demonic power lesson is something Kella's memories describe as one of the worst experiences he endured. Still, he sees no reason to avoid it. At the training ground, the instructor announces that Lady Caldera and Lord Tarma won't be attending the session. Kella immediately recognizes the others present. He remembers them vividly from Kella's memories. A group of true demons among demonkin who treated bullying him like a game. In one such memory, an orange-haired boy relentlessly torments Kella. Caldera watches from a distance and questions if they're going too easy on him. She encourages them to stop holding back and grants permission to unleash their full abilities. The orange-haired boy becomes thrilled and eagerly prepares to continue the torment. Crying, Kella begs them to stop and expresses his desire not to fight. Snapping back to the present, the reincarnated Kella clenches his fists with rage. He understands now. Kella wasn't weak, he simply had a soft heart. But everything has changed. This time, he intends to use his power the right way. The teacher calls the class to begin and asks who had sparred during the last session. Rude steps forward and says that he and Kella did, then quickly corrects himself, referring to him as Sir Kella. This instantly irritates Kella, who mentally curses him. The teacher then instructs them to begin the second spar. Rude activates his powers and prepares to fight. The surrounding students begin to mock Kella, predicting that the young master will get beaten again. Some joke that he might cry if they don't go easy on him. Kella reflects on how he and the original Kella share similarities. In his past life, he lacked money and strength, and people always looked down on him. But that version of himself no longer exists. Fueled by this thought, a wave of anger surges within him, causing his aura to erupt. Seeing this, Rude becomes visibly frightened, realizing Kella possesses an overwhelming amount of mana. The other students stare in disbelief, shocked at the intensity of his power. Rude finds himself paralyzed under the pressure. With his aura flaring, Kella moves in and launches a powerful punch to Rude's face, sending him crashing to the ground with a single blow. The entire class watches in stunned silence. One student remarks that Rude couldn't even react. The teacher is equally shocked, witnessing something completely unexpected. Rude's face is badly deformed from the hit. Kella stands tall, reminding him of his earlier words and scolding him for daring to speak to the Demon King's son like that. Terrified, Rude begs for forgiveness. Kella warns him not to make the same mistake again, or it might cost his life. The sheer display of strength leaves the students in panic. None of them can believe that this is the same Kella they once considered a loser. Kella then turns to the teacher and questions whether the class will continue. The teacher, still trembling, hesitantly agrees. Among the crowd, a girl observes everything, puzzled and disturbed by Kella's sudden transformation. Far off in the distance, the Demon King silently watches the entire scene unfold. Inside Hel Khaldun's castle, Caldera, while bathing, angrily complains to Tarme about Kella's actions. She's furious that he dared to throw poisoned soup at her face. Tarme tries to calm her down and tells her to focus on healing, reminding her that she doesn't have Kella's terrifying regenerative ability. This only fuels Caldera's anger further as she questions why Kella is the only one with such powers. Tarme points out that Kella has clearly changed. For the first time in their lives, their father had actually smiled, even if only briefly. Hearing this, Caldera's rage intensifies at the thought of their father smiling over someone like Kella. Tarme agrees that it's not normal, which leads Caldera to question what he's getting at. Tarme suggests that although she'd probably rather die than cooperate with him, they should stop fighting for now and deal with Kella together. Holding a smile, Caldera agrees. She says it's not a bad idea, and they should kill Kella before he draws more of their father's attention. Meanwhile, in class, the teacher activates a hologram of the previous Demon King, Turk Khaldun, and introduces him to the students. Kella watches the display, noting how demonic the former king looks. The teacher explains that Turk was once the strongest being, but died due to a cowardly plot by the Heaven Guild. Since then, many opportunistic guilds have been gathering around the kingdom. Kella recalls memories from the original Kella, especially the resentment towards the surrounding guilds. He remembers how those guilds made it impossible to escape the castle and how trapped he felt, believing he'd be forced to live there forever. Returning to the present, the teacher goes on to explain that with the Heaven Guild at the center of these schemes, they're planning an attack on the Demon Kingdom. Therefore, all students must give their best in combat training to help King Hel wipe them out. The students respond in unison, shouting their support for the honor of demons. Later, Kella sits on the castle rooftop thinking about his situation. He realizes that staying there means risking death at any moment and he must find a way out. He then confirms with Rin that his father is leaving in 3 days. Rin responds affirmatively. Kella stands, analyzing the castle's weakness. There is no map architect capable of using the terrain effectively in battle. The surrounding guilds are exploiting the neglected territories for their attacks. Kella decides to use the time before his father's next expedition to map the entire region. He wants to help his father destroy every enemy around them. Finally, Kella makes up his mind. This time he will prepare to escape for real. Kella suddenly shouted at Rin, demanding her to create a secret office in the castle basement immediately. Rin, startled and confused, nervously asked if he really meant an office. Kella insisted, explaining that he needed a place to work in secret without their father finding out. Meanwhile, the scene shifted to the Demon King, who sat alone, deep in thought. He reflected that Kella couldn't escape his watchful eyes and felt an urgent need to confirm something before it was too late. Later, Kella entered a small room and was shocked by what he saw. Rin informed him that this was the office he had asked for. Displeased, Kella yelled in frustration, questioning how such a space could suit the son of the great Demon King. Terrified, Rin began to cry and explained that she had done her best under secrecy. Kella, still angry, told her to do it properly. In his thoughts, Kella admitted that he had to treat Rin harshly from time to time. Rin, overwhelmed, thought about how scary he had become, and how he was no longer the Kella she once knew. Yet, in her mind, he seemed even cooler now, At that moment, Kella shouted again, demanding coffee. Startled, Rin quickly ran off to fetch it. After she left, Kella unrolled a map and began studying it. He reflected on how the Demon King's castle lacked any hope or ambition. With determination, he decided it was time to create his own map. Elsewhere, Rin hurried through the halls to find coffee, but paused mid-step, realizing she didn't even know what coffee was. Suddenly, the Demon King appeared behind her and questioned her presence in the basement without Kella. Rin froze in fear. When he demanded to know Kella's whereabouts, she became increasingly nervous and struggled to respond. The Demon King, growing angry, pressed her for an answer. Rin panicked, torn between fear and her promise to keep Kella's secret. Back in the secret room, Kella continued working on his map, enjoying the process. He felt lucky that this world resembled the game he knew and realized that map-making brought him the most joy. Without warning, the door burst open, and the Demon King entered furiously. He accused Kella of building a secret office without reporting it. Shocked, Kella froze as the Demon King stormed in and thrust his hand deep into Kella's stomach. He angrily challenged Kella, telling him not to act like a coward if he intended to kill him. Blood poured from Kella's mouth as he struggled with the overwhelming pain. He realized this power was on a different scale. It was the true might of the great Demon King. Convinced he might die, Kella, in desperation, showed him the map. The Demon King asked what he was looking at. Kella explained that the outskirts of the castle were poorly positioned for battles against the guilds, and if the land were reshaped as shown in his map, it would significantly aid future fights. Seeing this, the Demon King withdrew his hand and questioned why Kella had hidden the office. Kella revealed that if he had openly offered help, he would have been rejected. That's why he wanted to present everything once completed. As the Demon King's son, he only wished to contribute to the destruction of heaven. Rin, witnessing this, was shocked and wondered if Kella was risking his life just to share something like this with the Demon King. The Demon King then asked how long the entire plan would take. Kella was surprised by the question. The Demon King clarified, wanting to know how many days it would take to finish the map. Kella was amazed that the Demon King could understand it and confidently replied that 5 hours would be enough. The Demon King was taken aback. Kella smiled and explained that within 3 days, they could complete the construction before the battle against heaven. He requested permission to lead the operation. Hearing this, the Demon King laughed and began to leave, granting him permission to try. But he warned Kella that if he turned out to be all talk, both he and his map would be torn to shreds. Kella acknowledged the challenge with determination as the Demon King walked away. After the Demon King left, Kella took a deep breath and thought to himself that he had done it. But suddenly, more blood poured from his mouth. A chilling thought crossed his mind. Had the Demon King intended to kill him if he turned out to be useless, even though he was his own son? Meanwhile, Rin watched silently, realizing that Kella had successfully convinced the great Demon King. But before she could speak, Kella snapped at her, demanding why she was just standing there. He told her to take him to the medical room. Soon after, Kella began narrating the progress. As promised, he completed the map within 5 hours. Following that, the forces of the Demon King's castle assembled and launched a massive construction effort. The mages cast illusion magic to cover the construction area and reshaped the geography, keeping everything hidden from outside observers. Just like in the game, the map he had drawn was now turning into reality. Everything unfolded exactly according to his plan. The scene then shifted to the Heaven Guild assembly area, where the guildmaster, Hermeson, was discussing recent developments. One of his men informed him that the Demon King's forces were altering the surrounding terrain using illusion magic. Hermeson, puzzled, questioned what they were planning. When asked if they should launch an attack to stop them, Hermeson rejected the idea, stating it would be useless at this point. He revealed that in just 3 days, the strongest squad formed in Talua, called Talcon, would arrive. This elite force had been under development for decades and was now finally complete. According to him, there was no way the Demon King could defeat such a force with only 3 days of preparation. He believed the great Demon King Hell would soon fall. Meanwhile, General Killman led a battalion of demon soldiers. With burning determination, he declared that the era of the great Demon King, which had lasted for thousands of years, was about to end. He ordered his forces to charge forward and set the Demon King's castle ablaze. Commander Srills, observing Killman's leadership, praised his remarkable command. One of the soldiers asked Srills if they would truly succeed in hunting down the Demon King. With a confident smile, Srills assured him that the Talcon squad was unlike any other guild. They would ensure the great Demon King was eliminated. The scene opens with the Demon King sitting alone, deep in thought. He acknowledged that Kella hadn't been bluffing about the map. Though it wasn't perfect, he accepted it, knowing his body was nearing its limits. With the final battle against heaven set for tomorrow, he could no longer afford to be picky. Inside the castle, everyone worked efficiently. Watching the smooth progress, Kella noted that everything was moving according to plan. In his mind, the experience felt completely different from building maps in a game. The realization that he could shape the land in reality was thrilling. All that remained was the upcoming battle between hell and heaven. The decisive day was finally upon them. The next scene transitioned to the day of the battle. At the Heaven Guild base, the elite Talcon squad arrived. Their presence lifted the spirits of the heavenly warriors. Guildmaster Hermison welcomed Talkin's leader, Kilman, expressing gratitude for their arrival. Kilman confirmed that the squad was ready and proposed they head out to defeat the Demon King. Hearing this, Hermison felt reassured. Kilman rallied his forces, calling them to action and urging them to bring victory to Talua. Suddenly, a magic circle appeared on the ground before them. Kilman was caught off guard and quickly shouted for a defensive formation. An explosion followed, but both Talcon and the Heaven Warriors managed to shield themselves just in time. Amidst the smoke, the great Demon King, Hel Khaldun, made a dramatic entrance, standing tall before his enemies. A flashback revealed events from a short while earlier. Kella had informed the Demon King that he had removed the barrier that focused Heaven's surveillance magic. With that barrier gone, teleportation magic could now be used without being tracked. The Demon King questioned whether this meant he could teleport directly into the enemy's base. Sheldera, alarmed, raised her voice, asking if he truly planned to teleport into enemy territory. Tarme warned that it was far too dangerous, even for him. But the Demon King silenced them both, reminding them not to doubt the strength of the Demon King. Sheldera quickly denied any doubt, while Tarme mentioned that the Demon King hadn't fully recovered. Ignoring their concerns, the Demon King firmly declared that the final decision was his alone. Returning to the present, the Demon King stood amidst his enemies and declared his intent to annihilate every single one of them. Kilman, shocked by the ambush, responded with fury. He vowed to make the Demon King regret his actions and declared the strength of Talcon. Without delay, he ordered a full-scale attack. The Demon King responded immediately, unleashing a powerful attack that triggered a massive explosion, shaking the battlefield as the fight began. Elsewhere, Kella stood atop the castle, observing the battlefield. He felt satisfied, knowing he had successfully gathered all the forces. With confidence, he addressed the demon warriors, announcing that all preparations were now complete. Following his command, the demon forces surged forward to attack. On the other side, a heaven warrior noticed the sudden movement and alerted others that the demon castle's forces were advancing. In the next moment, demons burst out from underground, taking the heavenly warriors completely by surprise. Panic spread as they realized they were under ambush, and rushed to stop the demons from reaching heaven. Amidst the chaos, Kella remained focused. He silently noted that everything was unfolding exactly as planned. But before he could act further, he was interrupted by the arrival of Tarme and Sheldera. Shielding a firm gaze, Sheldera questioned his actions and warned that things wouldn't proceed the way he intended. Tarme followed with a grim tone, expressing regret and stating that he wouldn't have taken such a step if Kella hadn't crossed the line. Kella's expression shifted to fear as he looked at the two. Tarme coldly declared that there was no place left for him, and without hesitation drove something deep into Kella's abdomen. The pain was intense and overwhelming. Following this, Tarme issued a command to Sheldera. She stepped forward, declaring that no matter how fast Kella could recover, it would mean nothing once his head was severed. Without hesitation, she sliced through his neck. Seeing Kella fall, both Sheldera and Tarme smiled in satisfaction. As life faded from his eyes, Kella's final thought echoed in silence. So this is how it ends. Kella's body fell from the castle and crashed onto the ground below. As his life began to fade, Sheldera laughed triumphantly, celebrating that they had finally sliced off Kella's head. Tarme, still unaware of what was to come, suggested they go help their father next. But in a sudden betrayal, Sheldera drove her dagger into Tarme's side, identifying his weak spot. She stepped back slightly, amused, and praised Tarme's quick wits. Tarme was shocked to recognize the weapon. It was their mother's, one strictly forbidden to use. Sheldera dismissed the rules, laughing off his concern. She declared that they were demons, and rules meant nothing. Weapons existed to be used. Tarme stood frozen in disbelief. Sheldera, with a grin, revealed her motive. By killing Tarme, she would be the only successor left. Hearing this, Tarme was filled with rage. He lunged at Sheldera, vowing to kill her. Sheldera charged forward too, confidently stating that it was already over the moment he was stabbed by that knife. The two siblings clashed, both unleashing fierce attacks on each other. Meanwhile, Kella's severed head lay on the ground below the castle. Even in this state, he could still think, and what he saw disturbed him deeply. He wondered how they could be so demonic, exactly how he had once imagined demons to be. Suddenly, a bright light appeared beneath Kella's body. The ground cracked open, and his body and head were pulled below. There, Rin caught both just in time. Trembling, she rejoined his head to his body and sat beside him, terrified but determined. Back on the battlefield, the Demon King rallied his warriors. He commanded them to head toward the secret pathway to circle around and strike heaven from behind. But the heavenly warriors had already predicted this move. They began attacking, declaring they already knew every tactic the demons could use. The Demon King remained unfazed. To him, it didn't matter whether the enemy knew the plan or not. There was no turning back now. They had to fight for the honor of demons. Suddenly, a dragon unleashed its powerful breath attack on the Demon King. Watching the incoming flames, the Demon King acknowledged it as a dragon's breath, something he hadn't faced in a long time. Without hesitation, he lunged at the beast and drove his sword into it. Seeing this, Kilman rushed forward, ordering everyone to attack together. All the warriors combined their powers and launched a massive assault, causing a huge explosion. Kilman watched closely, wondering if they had finally taken the Demon King down. But to his shock, the Demon King emerged from the smoke, having fully transformed. His appearance was now far more fearsome than before. Kilman, startled, realized that the transformation matched what had been described in ancient texts. Shrills confirmed it. It was the Demon King's final form. One of her comrades began trembling in fear. Shrills immediately addressed the group, urging everyone to stay focused and not let fear consume them. Upon seeing the Demon King, Kilman couldn't stop his body from trembling. He realized that if even he was shaking with fear, then it was natural that the others couldn't move either. Meanwhile, the Demon King reflected on the flaw in Kella's strategy. Although the plan allowed them to instantly reach the center of Heaven's base, it offered no escape route. Still, he hadn't pointed it out. After all, a Demon King shouldn't be concerned about retreat. Perhaps Kella had considered that as well. But at this moment, none of that mattered. All that remained was to kill them all right there. Kilman shouted, declaring that the Demon King was about to go all out in his final form. Urging everyone to fight with everything they had, he charged forward. At the same time, the Demon King launched his attack too, causing a massive explosion on the battlefield. Elsewhere, Rin was holding Kella's head and body in her arms, trembling. Her thoughts drifted back to an earlier moment when she had reattached Kella's severed arm. Kella had screamed from the pain, demanding she hurry up. As she finished, she asked if it was done. Kella confirmed that it had worked again. He then instructed her to try the same with his head, wanting to ensure the process could be repeated. Rin was shocked and questioned his sanity. Kella admitted the head would be more dangerous, so they would need to proceed slowly and carefully. Afterward, he decided that their experimentation was enough for now. He asked her to approach Seldera's servant and deliver a message exactly as he had instructed, making it sound natural. Following this, Rin nervously approached Seldera's servant and claimed that Kella was planning to kill young Master Seldera in the upcoming battle. The servant reacted in disbelief. Rin quietly added that he planned to act while the Demon King was occupied fighting Heaven. The servant was furious at the thought. Rin then suggested it would be the perfect opportunity for Seldera to decapitate Kella. According to her, no matter how strong his regeneration was, that would surely kill him. Back in the present, Rin reflected on how everything had unfolded exactly according to Kella's insane plan. But she also reminded herself that it wouldn't mean anything if he died now. Calling him an idiot, she held on tightly. Just then, Kella regained consciousness and questioned who she was calling an idiot. Rin was startled to see him awake. As his body healed, Kella admitted he had really believed he was going to die. He guessed that being cut with a mana-infused dagger had slowed his recovery speed. But in the end, it didn't matter. He had survived, and everything was still proceeding according to his plan. Rin was overwhelmed with joy upon seeing Kella alive. Smiling through her relief, she hugged him tightly, unable to hide her emotions. Kella, slightly embarrassed, gently pushed her back and declared that he had survived, and now it was time to move on. At that moment, he formally undid the contract binding them, releasing Rin from her role as his servant. Rin was taken aback by this sudden announcement. Kella told her to live freely now, to choose the life she wanted. With that, he began walking away. As he left, Rin remembered something Kella had once said, asking her to be his friend instead of just his servant. That memory brought tears to her eyes. Unable to hold back, she ran after him, asking him to take her along. Kella was surprised and urged her not to follow, but Rin was determined. She refused to be left behind. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Kilman was completely exhausted. Staring at the Demon King, he wondered how the enemy could still be standing in such a condition. He accepted the painful truth. The Demon King was truly a great demon, an unstoppable force. Despite his frustration, Kilman realized that no human could stop what was coming. The Demon King, reflecting on the battle, acknowledged that both sides had suffered massive losses. Seldera, Tarme, and Kella hadn't shown up. He understood now that this was his battle from the beginning. With his final reserves of mana, he launched one last devastating attack. Elsewhere, Kella and Rin were running toward a destination. Kella believed he had finally spotted the exit, the point beyond the Demon Castle's surveillance. Reaching it would mean freedom. Just then, Rin stepped in front of him and blocked an incoming attack with her magical shield. She had sensed the strong scent of blood. Moments later, a group of heavenly soldiers appeared. One of them assumed Kella was a parent trying to evacuate children and admitted it was smart of them to hide at the exit, just in case. Kella was shocked. He realized that a surveillance team had been stationed at the secret exit all along. The soldiers confirmed his fears. They had no intention of letting any family member of the Demon King escape. They prepared to kill him. The soldiers attacked using their magic, but Rin blocked the assault with her shield. She told Kella to run while she held them off. Kella, startled by her selflessness, questioned how she could possibly manage on her own. Rin reminded him of her duty as his servant. Her purpose was to protect him above all else. Kella, recalling her limited magical abilities, realized the truth. Rin was only capable of basic defensive spells and could barely use offensive magic. It became clear that she intended to sacrifice herself to ensure his survival. As Rin urged him to escape, Kella placed a hand on her shoulder. Pushing her behind him, he scolded her with frustration. He couldn't bear the thought of her acting strong just to die in front of him. Her death would only anger him further. One of the soldiers mocked Kella, claiming he had no way to escape now. According to their information, Kella was the weakest in the Demon King's castle, and even middle-class magic would be enough to defeat him. But Kella knew the truth. He had always appeared timid, never used his powers, and never revealed his true potential. That meant everything they knew about him was completely wrong. As he activated his abilities, Rin looked on in shock, unable to believe what she was witnessing. The soldier was stunned, unable to comprehend what he was seeing. He had assumed Kella's mana was of low rank, but Kella moved in swiftly, grabbed the soldier by the face, and slammed him into the ground. Without mercy, he forced the soldier deeper into the earth until he was crushed and defeated. Seeing this, Rin was overwhelmed. Kella had just taken down a heavenly mage using his mana alone. Another soldier, still in disbelief, insisted Kella should have been nothing more than a weakling with no combat strength. Kella corrected him, stating once again that their information was wrong. The remaining two soldiers activated their abilities. They declared their intent to use the Light Spear spell, a technique that involved focusing all their mana into a single powerful attack. They understood the risk. If they failed, they would be the ones to die. With that, they launched their deadly assault. Rin, panicking, pleaded with Kella to move back. But before he could react, the light spear struck both of them. Kella found himself unable to move. His body was frozen, and the pain was overwhelming. Rin, injured and devastated, apologized for being unable to protect him. The soldier rejoiced, convinced their attack had worked perfectly and that this was the end for Kella. But then, his partner suggested they deserved a reward after all the trouble. He hinted at vile intentions, eyeing Rin. He approached her, proposing that she might be fun to play with. Rin glared at him and reminded them of everything they had done to the demons. Unbothered, the soldier drew his sword and told her to shut up, promising he'd deal with her soon. Kella, filled with rage, realized even the humans of this world treated others like mere objects. The soldier turned back to Kella and prepared to kill him, calling him the Demon King's little baby. Kella, lying injured, cursed the situation. The exit was right in front of him. He couldn't believe he was about to die after coming so close to freedom. The soldier swung his sword toward Kella. Rin, terrified, shut her eyes, bracing for the worst. At that moment, Kella felt something. A strange sensation coursed through him, something unfamiliar yet powerful. Just then, the spirit of the Demon King appeared before Kella. Kella wondered if the battle had already ended and if his entire plan was now ruined. The Demon King began speaking, explaining that he had fought countless battles and considered every possible outcome. Kella, confused, asked what he meant. The Demon King continued, stating that Sheldera lacked the empathy needed to become the Demon King, and Tarme had no ambition for the role. Kella, still focused, demanded to know how he had arrived there. The Demon King revealed that a Demon King had the power to pass down his mana to his bloodline before death. Hearing this, Kella was left stunned. The Demon King went on, saying that although he had only seen Kella for a short time, he believed Kella was the best candidate to become a true Demon King. Kella grew anxious, insisting that the Demon King was mistaken. But the Demon King declared that he, Hel Khaldun, was transferring all the mana left in his body to his son, Kella Khaldun. Kella, now panicking, begged him to stop. But the Demon King, in his final moments, thought to himself that Kella should not mourn his death, but live like a true demon. With that, the Demon King passed away. Witnessing this, Shrills announced that the Demon King was dead and that General Killman had sacrificed himself for it. The crowd around her was shocked, repeating the news in disbelief. Hel Khaldun was dead. The Demon King had fallen. They had won the battle. At the same time, a massive amount of mana began flooding into Kella's body. The force was so intense that Kella screamed in pain. Rin observed this, realizing that the light spear had disappeared because of Kella's overflowing mana. One of the soldiers nearby questioned why Kella's mana had suddenly spiked so drastically. Kella began laughing, repeating the news to himself that the Demon King was dead. In that moment, he realized his plan had worked. Another soldier admitted he was out of mana, and his partner insisted they needed to escape immediately. Kella told Rin to step back and felt the overwhelming void of darkness inside him, the very power passed on by Hel. The frightened soldiers warned Kella not to come closer. In response, Kella recalled what they had said to Rin earlier and furiously called them the real demons. He then unleashed a powerful attack on them, sending both soldiers flying into a wall. Kella acknowledged that he was now wielding the Demon King's power, but it was severely straining his body. He knew his body wasn't ready to handle such immense energy. Turning to Rin, he asked if she could move, and when she confirmed, Kella said they should escape. With that, the two began making their way out. As they left, Kella thought to himself that he owed his escape to the Demon King, and silently thanked him. Kella and Rin finally exited the castle. Once outside, Kella felt the freedom he had longed for. He could now go anywhere and live however he wanted. But then, without warning, a beam of light struck Kella from above, and he began vanishing. Alarmed, he questioned what was happening. Rin recognized it immediately as a teleportation spell. Kella, realizing the urgency, told her to grab his hand. She held on tightly, and the light vanished, taking both of them with it. A moment later, the light reappeared in a different location, and Kella and Rin arrived there together. Kella looked around, trying to understand where they had landed. Rin looked at Kella with surprise, realizing he had used teleportation magic, but Kella clarified that it wasn't his doing. It was a type of alarm spell their father had placed on them in case he died. Rin then noticed something even more surprising. All her wounds had completely healed. Kella explained they had likely spent 3 days inside the teleportation space, intentionally designed that way by their father to allow them to heal during emergencies. Understanding the situation, Rin pointed out that the spell combined both healing and teleportation. Kella, thinking to himself, began to feel the weight of his father's care, realizing that despite everything, he truly was a parent. Rin then asked if this meant the Demon King had passed away. Kella confirmed it, silently adding that everything was going according to his plan. Without hesitation, Rin asked him to become the next Demon King. Kella was caught off guard, questioning her reasoning. Rin revealed that after seeing his recent changes, she had come to believe he was the only one fit to be the true Demon King. From that moment on, she vowed to serve him with full dedication until he claimed the title. Kella, though surprised, thought she might be misunderstanding things. But considering his current lack of manpower, he didn't correct her. Suddenly, Rin noticed something ahead and urged Kella to stop. They had arrived in Arsal, a magical country known for raising individuals solely to defeat demons. In front of them was a public board that read, "Demon King Helkaldun has perished. Let the light of Talua be eternal." Reading this message, Kella grew uneasy. He questioned why they had appeared in such a dangerous place, unsure of what might happen if they were discovered. Thinking fast, Rin used transformation magic and suggested they disguise themselves. Kella agreed, noting mentally that even he could use transformation magic. Kella then asked Rin to explain everything she knew about Arsal. She began describing it as a small island country located on the eastern border of Talua. The nation was blessed by a giant sea cryptid named Watergore, which helped them naturally develop powerful magic. Arsal had produced many strong mages and had long been an enemy of demons, being under Talua's control. Kella wondered aloud why his father would send him to such a dangerous place. Rin questioned why he would even enter the capital of Arsal if he was worried, urging him to escape instead. Kella replied that escaping would require preparation. As Kella thought deeper, he realized that to achieve his dreams in this world, mastering magic was essential. In this country, everything revolved around magic. Even the most basic buildings used it. Some structures even floated through magical power. If he could learn magic here, he believed he could create even more advanced buildings than those he had seen in the game. Suddenly, Rin's hunger interrupted their conversation. Kella suggested they eat something first. While eating, Rin tried Arsal's famous magic dish and found the cookies incredibly delicious. She quickly got excited to try the next dish, and after enjoying it, she eagerly looked forward to sampling another. Watching her, Kella briefly considered the idea of leaving her behind. Eventually, the two decided to enter a magic bar. Inside, a woman named Shrills raised her glass and invited everyone to drink in celebration of the Demon King's defeat. She offered to cover the drinks and encouraged everyone to order whatever they liked. The bar quickly turned into a lively party. Kella and Rin joined the festivities, and Kella allowed himself to relax for a moment, thinking that a short break might not be such a bad idea. Meanwhile, Shrills noticed the two and found them to be quite an interesting couple. After stepping out of the bar, Kella began vomiting uncontrollably. Rin, watching him struggle, questioned why he drank so much despite being unable to handle alcohol. It had only been a festival to celebrate the Demon King's death. Annoyed, Kella reminded her that she was the one who first suggested they drink. Just then, a group of people rushed past them in excitement, shouting about a new S-rank quest. Curious, Kella wondered what all the commotion was about. Rin was shocked, realizing that until now, the Demon King hunt had been the only S-rank quest, so a new one meant something big. Without waiting, Rin grabbed Kella and dragged him along to investigate. A large crowd had gathered around a huge wall where the details of the new S-rank quest were posted. People around them read the message in disbelief, murmuring about how they thought everything was over, unaware that the Demon King's children were still alive. Rin pointed at the board and identified the target. It was Kella himself. Shocked, Kella yelled out in disbelief, questioning why he was being targeted when the Demon King was already dead. His loud outburst drew everyone's attention, but Rin quickly covered his mouth and laughed it off, claiming he was simply drunk. The nearby crowd began discussing the situation, recalling that Kella was considered the weakest of the Demon King's children. Many assumed this would be an easy quest, closer to a B rank, and speculated that every hunter would soon be after him. Hearing this, Kella realized it would be best to stay hidden to avoid getting captured. He told Rin they should leave. As they walked away, Rin asked what she should call him in public. After a brief pause, Kella told her to call him Chiwu. Rin found the name strange, but Kella insisted. Rin then admitted she hadn't expected people to realize Kella was still alive so quickly. Kella agreed and said they needed to get what they came for and leave. Nearby, Shrills overheard them and asked if there was really another S-rank quest. Kella confirmed they had just seen it. Observing her closely, Kella remembered that the people at the tavern had referred to her as the Hope of Arsal, realizing she must be someone important. While sipping her beer, Shrills reacted with frustration at the news of the Demon King's son being alive, cursing the demons. Kella casually mentioned that he was supposed to be the weakest among the Demon King's children, suggesting it wasn't a big issue. Rin agreed with him, but then Shrills approached and placed her hands on both of their shoulders with a smile. She questioned their relaxed attitude, implying it was strange to say it wasn't a big deal when the Demon King's son was alive. She then commented that the two of them had a suspicious smell. Rin began to panic internally, wondering if Shrills had figured out their true identities. Shrills gave them a creepy smile, confirming their suspicions that she might be onto them. However, Shrills quickly changed her tone, laughing and suggesting that they must be travelers who hadn't bathed in a while. She offered them a chance to wash up at her place and enjoy more drinks. Caught off guard, Kella and Rin quickly acted casual, forced a laugh and agreed enthusiastically. Inside a quiet home, Kella relaxed in a hot spring bath, soaking in the warmth. In his mind, he admired the cozy hot spring water, alongside a cup of tea and an unfamiliar snack. He wondered if even these comforts were created using magic. For someone who had always dreamed of living inside a game world, this moment felt surreal. It truly seemed like his dream had come true. Life in this isekai wasn't turning out so bad after all. Meanwhile, in another section of the bath, Rin sat nervously with Shrills inside the same hot spring. Her thoughts raced with panic, fearing she'd be doomed if caught in such a vulnerable state. Shrills, cheerful and relaxed, praised her luxurious bathtub. Rin forced a smile and agreed, trying to hide her anxiety. Shrills grew curious, questioning why Rin seemed so tense. She joked that someone might mistake her for a demon trying to hide. Rin laughed awkwardly, pretending not to be fazed by the remark. Then, Shrills activated a magic spell, saying she would use a scent to help Rin relax. But the moment the spell was cast, Rin recognized it as being of the holy element. Panic surged through her again. This was the worst possible scent for a demon. It drained mana and risked undoing her disguise spell. As the magic began to take effect, she cried out internally for her young master to save her. Shrills looked at Rin with a faint smile. She thought everything would end with the Demon King's death, that her suffering would finally be over. But Rin had no interest in her story. She wished Shrills would stop talking and wanted to leave. Shrills continued, revealing that she had been destined to become a mage since birth. Unable to take it any longer, Rin suddenly stood up and ran off, pretending she needed to use the restroom. Watching her leave, Shrills chuckled, assuming Rin must have disliked the holy scent. Soon after, Kella arrived, casually mentioning how relaxed he felt after enjoying the hot spring water. Rin, clearly panicked, scolded him, saying it wasn't the time to be relaxing. Her disguise spell had almost worn off. Kella, confused, asked what she meant. Rin explained that Shrills had used a holy scent, and if it was created by an advanced mage, demons could lose their mana just from that. Kella was surprised by how dangerous it could have been, but instead of showing concern, he expressed interest in taking another bath before leaving. Rin, irritated, told him they needed to get out immediately. Before they could leave, Shrills returned and reminded them about the second round they had agreed on. Rin laughed nervously, admitting she had said that, but insisted it was time to go. Shrills questioned her, asking if she wasn't curious about the magical drinks and dishes. The mention of magic food caught Kella's attention. Intrigued, he decided to join Shrills for the second round. Outside, a group of mages stood near a house, discussing something serious. They had discovered demons were present. Not just any demons, but the Demon King's child. They saw it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and were determined to capture them at any cost. Back inside, Shrills offered food to Kella, asking how it tasted. It was made with holy water. Kella responded positively, but in his mind he felt something was wrong. His body felt like it was burning. He had been excited to try food made with magic, but this wasn't what he expected. Shrills returned to her earlier conversation with Rin. She spoke about her past, the life she lived to kill the Demon King. She had joined the Talcon squad and trained with her life on the line. She revealed she had gotten a scar during one of the tests back then. Rin pointed out that she hadn't seen the scar earlier. Shrills admitted she had hidden it with magic. She didn't even have one of her eyes anymore. Hearing this, both Kella and Rin were shocked. Shrills said she concealed her injuries because every time she looked at them, the pain from that day returned. As she spoke, her thoughts drifted back to that day. Soldiers had been lying injured. Their general had stood before them, urging everyone to get up. He reminded them that their squad existed for one purpose: to defeat the Demon King. They had to endure the pain and rise again. In that moment, Shrills had shouted out their goal: killing the Demon King. Returning to the present, Shrills stated she had sacrificed her entire life for that mission and bore the scars to prove it. Then, she moved closer to Kella, asking what he had done during that time. She assumed he must have similar scars and began inspecting his stomach. But to her surprise, his skin was smooth and unscarred. Rin started to panic while Kella also grew anxious. Shrills' touch was gradually weakening his disguise. She then softly asked him if he was a demon. Kella was stunned. She had figured it out. Suddenly, several rats began to enter the room. But they weren't ordinary rats. Once inside, they transformed into their true forms, mages. Seeing this, Kella panicked and wondered if Shrills had brought them here as part of a trap. Shrills, still smiling, welcomed the mages as if she had been expecting them. One of the mages pointed at her eye and declared that the heaven's message had been right all along. Shrills had only been pretending to be human. In reality, she was a demon who had infiltrated Arsal. Kella and Rin were both shocked by the revelation. Kella realized the mages weren't after him and Rin, but after Shrills. He couldn't believe she was actually a demon. Shrills then summoned her weapon and calmly confessed that they were right. She had no reason to hide the truth anymore. She revealed that she had been the one to leak the information about her being a demon. The mages, now furious, shouted that there was no need to hesitate. She had admitted everything herself, so she had to be killed. Shrill stood firm, declaring that she was an elite mage from Talcon. A small group of Arsal mages wouldn't be enough to defeat her. She began preparing her attack. Rin quickly told Kella to move out of the way. Kella realized the situation had turned dangerous. Shrills then unleashed her attack, causing a massive explosion. Rin was stunned by the overwhelming mana she witnessed. Kella wondered if Shrills had just protected them. Shrills turned to them and stated that she knew they were demons too. She could sense it clearly. She then revealed her identity as Shrills Khaldun, daughter of the Demon King Hel Khaldun. Hearing Shrills' true identity left both Kella and Rin completely stunned. Without wasting any time, Shrills used memory transfer magic to show them everything. In her shared memory, the Demon Queen appeared overjoyed, celebrating the birth of a demon who could conceal both horns and demonic energy. Shrills remembered seeing the Demon King for the first time and being shocked to realize it was Hel, their absolute ruler. The Demon King told her that his blood ran through her veins, which made her his daughter. Shrills couldn't believe it. She was the daughter of the Demon King. She revealed that since birth she had been treated like a lab rat. Her days were filled with torture and experiments, and she had to endure every moment. All the children born with her had died one by one. She was sure she would die too, until the truth was revealed, that she was the Demon King's daughter. Feeling overwhelmed and proud, she accepted the truth with honor. The Demon King then gave her a name, Shrills Khaldun, and assigned her a mission. She was to infiltrate heaven as a spy and deliver critical information back to him. Shrills accepted the mission with joy, thinking she could do anything for her father. One day, she was found unconscious in Arsal's garden by a group of mages. They assumed she had been attacked by demons and immediately took her for treatment. From that moment, she began her role as the Demon King's spy. Over time, she climbed the ranks in Arsal and eventually became part of Talua as a mage. She endured countless struggles and pain, rising through the ranks until she joined the elite Talcon squad. 15 years later, she was finally reunited with her father. She wanted to run to him and embrace him, but her duty held her back. Her role was to secretly sabotage the Talcon squad through magic, supporting her father until he defeated General Killman. Once Talcon fell, she hoped to return to the Demon Castle and live a new life as Shrills Khaldun. The scene shifted to the battlefield. General Killman stood before the Demon King, acknowledging Hel Khaldun as the strongest opponent he had ever faced. But the Demon King rejected the recognition, stating he had no need for a human's approval. Killman called him arrogant and declared that it was time to end everything. He launched his final attack, Spear of Heavens, Martyrs. The Demon King responded with his own, the Flames of Hell, Magna Lexir. Their powerful blows collided, resulting in a massive explosion. In that moment, Shrills heard her father's voice. He gave her one last command, to serve the next Demon King as she had served him and to protect him until the very end. Then, another explosion followed, killing the Demon King. Shrills was left shocked, staring at her father's lifeless body. After witnessing his death, she had no choice but to return to Talua. Backup forces had already arrived. The entire continent, including Talua, celebrated the Demon King's fall for the first time in millennia. His death marked a historic victory. Shrills decided to retire and return to Arsal, the place where she had started her first mission. Her goal was to start over and avenge her father by wiping out everyone, beginning with Arsal. Back in the present, Rin was still in disbelief. The thought of Shrills being the Demon King's daughter seemed impossible. Kella too was stunned. He thought he had finally escaped from the demon siblings. Even if not related by blood, he hadn't expected to gain another sibling. Shrills smiled and made it clear she wouldn't force either of them to join her, but she warned them. Arsal, as a magical nation, posed a major threat to the Demonkin. The longer it survived, the more danger Kella would be in. As the last hope of the Demonkin, his survival was at stake. Kella silently agreed. Even in the game, he remembered how important mages were in battle. Leaving them unchecked would only bring danger to him. Just then, one of the mages from the earlier group pointed out that others must have been alerted by the explosion. They didn't want anyone else to steal their credit, so they decided to use all their mana at once. Kella realized these attackers probably assumed they were humans, yet didn't hesitate to attack. Annoyed, he shifted into his true form, stating that his response was simply self-defense. Shrills looked at him, shocked by the energy he released. She recognized it instantly. It was the power of her father. Kella narrates how that night turned into an endless battle. In Rin's eyes, the scene likely resembled a massacre. For Shrills, Arsal was like a second home, and she knew its entire layout. Using that knowledge, she destroyed the main government facilities along with the Magic Academy. Meanwhile, Kella used Hell's mana to overpower those in authority, who were too drunk on the festival's joy to react properly. With their combined efforts, the magical nation of Arsal fell easily. Flames engulfed the entire city, and even the skies burned red. Among the wreckage, a man trapped beneath the rubble was left in disbelief. He couldn't accept that Arsal had fallen so quickly. Cursing the demons, he swore never to forgive them. But before he could do anything, he too was struck down by an attack. Shrills responded coldly, claiming that it was she who could never forgive them. Arsal was only the beginning. Next on her list were the Talcon squad and the great empire of Talua. She intended to destroy them all. Hearing this, both Kella and Rin were taken aback. Kella then stated that they had helped each other enough and it was time to go their separate ways. But Shrills stopped him. She recognized the mana and called him out. He was the second son of the Demon King, Kella Khaldun. This caught Kella off guard. He realized there was no point in hiding anymore and admitted it. Shrills was surprised by his confirmation, and Kella immediately regretted answering. It seemed she had only been guessing. Shrills explained further. She wasn't a traditional daughter, but a mutant created using their father's blood aura. That made her acknowledge Kella even more as a true bloodline of the Demon King. She revealed that she was created after him, making Kella her older brother. She assumed he wanted revenge too and invited him to join her. Kella thought back to how he had run away from home. Revenge wasn't something he truly cared about, but Shrills pressed him. As the last remaining child of the Demon King, she questioned if he was planning to run away again. Rin, observing the tense moment, silently hoped Kella would just agree. It looked like their lives depended on it. Kella finally responded, claiming he was out for revenge too. Satisfied, Shrills agreed and said it was time to burn everything down. Kella agreed. But his thoughts revealed another motive. He needed Arsal's magic, and Shrills knew it all. He could use revenge as an excuse to buy time, all while treating her like an ally. For now. Meanwhile, the man trapped under the rubble from earlier had survived. Hiding nearby, he quietly observed them. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he decided he had to report everything to Talua. The scene shifts to the next morning. A message from Arsal reaches the king of Talua while he is in the middle of a meal. Curious, the king asks what the message is about. The man standing before him reports that Shrills, a member of the Talcon squad, was revealed to be a demon. In response, the mages of Arsal attempted to eliminate her. The king then demands to know what happened next. The man informs him that Kella Khaldun appeared and, together with Shrills, burned Arsal to the ground. Hearing this, the king becomes furious. The revelation that the Demon King's son was in Arsal enrages him. The man adds that Kella may have some connection to Shrills. The king realizes that if word of this incident spreads, it would become a humiliation for Talua. A member of their elite squad being a demon, and the magical capital of Arsal being destroyed by her and Kella would make them a laughingstock. Furious, the king orders Shrills and Kella Khaldun to be killed before the news leaks. He warns that failure to bring their heads will result in the loss of position. The man solemnly swears to kill them and begins to leave. As he passes by a glass case holding the head of the Demon King, Hell Khaldun, he glares at it. He silently vows to destroy every last one who carries the Demon King's blood. Once outside, he questions another officer about the status of the Killian squad. The second man replies that General Killian must have received the message by now and was instructed to return as soon as he saw it. The first man reflects on Killian's power, stronger even than Kilman. To eliminate Kella and Shrills, they would need someone of his caliber. The scene transitions to Killian, who is shown receiving the news. He asks a soldier if Kilman, his brother, is truly dead. The soldier confirms it, explaining that Kilman died a heroic death while taking down the Demon King. Killian, however, shows little emotion. He questions whether that really matters, since it was still the Demon King who killed him. The soldier then tells Killian that Talua needs him to hunt down Kella Khaldun. Killian, filled with rage, declares that regardless of what Talua wants, he will exterminate every demon across the continent, starting with Kella Khaldun. Kella and his companions are seen cooking meat over an open fire. He wonders who's going to eat all of it. Shrills casually responds, saying it's not even enough for her. Rin curiously asks if she has a secret to staying slim. Shrills explains that if food goes in and out quickly, there's no chance of gaining weight. Rin is surprised but seems to accept the answer. Kella reflects inwardly, feeling relieved that Shrills isn't trying to kill him like Seldera or Tarme. He had been worried she might resent him for being from the main bloodline. Curious, he asks Shrills if she holds any grudge against him for being a biological child of their father. Shrills, with a serious tone, admits that she does. So much that she wants to kill him, but because he shares the same blood as their father, whom she deeply loved and respected, she can't bring herself to hate him. In fact, having their father's blood makes her feel responsible to protect Kella however she can. This surprises Kella, making him realize that unlike his other two siblings, Shrills might actually protect him. She places her hand on his and vows to put her life on the line to keep him alive. Kella blushes and responds with acceptance. Watching this, Rin feels a tinge of jealousy. She wonders why Kella is blushing. Trying to divert his attention, she offers her food to him, insisting that he eat more since he used a lot of mana. Kella declines, saying he's not hungry. But Rin firmly declares that she'll protect his health, even to the point of death. Kella eventually agrees and asks her to calm down. Shrills then changes the topic, pointing out that since the fall of Arsal is now known to other nations, many demon hunters will soon gather in the area. She suggests finding a safer place to sleep, but Kella disagrees. He believes the current location is ideal for the night. When Rin questions his decision, Kella replies with a smile, saying that with a little effort, the area could become an impenetrable secret fortress. Following this, Kella explains how they altered the terrain to transform it into a hidden stronghold. During their rest, he reflected on what he learned from the light. Using too much mana required immediate rest afterward. Even the Demon King had done the same after battles. Shrills, who used even more mana than Kella, needed a longer recovery period. Thanks to their efforts and the safety of the secret fortress, they were able to recover without interruption. Meanwhile, within the Talua Empire, the second squad of Talkan, known as the Talkan of White, arrives at the castle to meet the king. Watching from the rooftop, the king feels a chill just by looking at them. He welcomes the return of his strongest squad. One of the squad members comments that Killian seems to have grown several times stronger in a short span. He adds that if General Killman could see this, he would have been proud. Hearing this, Audria, another squad member, sternly warns him to watch his words. The man shrugs it off, saying she hasn't changed a bit. Then, Kalka, another member of the squad, questions the need to obey the king's summons. His rage remains unsatisfied, even at the thought of killing Kella Khaldun right away. Killian apologizes and explains that there's something he needs to show Curdly. Inside the castle, the Demon King's severed head is revealed. Killian stares at it, recognizing it as his brother's killer. The entire squad gathers to witness it. Killian then asks Curdly if the tracking spell would work with just the head. Curdly confirms that it's possible. Using her magical ability, she explains that the bloodstains on the head will allow her to search for those who share the same bloodline. Killian turns to the Demon King's head, declaring that it should remain witness to what they are about to do. On the other side, Shrills, now rested, expresses her readiness to face their enemies. She warns that Talkan's second squad will be summoned soon. Rin questions who they are. Shrills explains that within Talua, there had never been much hope that the first squad would succeed in killing the Demon King. Their squad was essentially treated as an experiment. The true power of Talua was invested in the second squad, Talkan of White. Kella is visibly shocked by this revelation. Shrills continues, describing the squad as being led by Killman's younger brother Killian and composed entirely of combat geniuses. Kella then asks if Killman, their father's killer, was actually weaker than this new squad. Shrills reluctantly admits that they are far stronger than Killman. So strong, in fact, that she cannot even begin to estimate the difference. After hearing Shrill's explanation, Rin is shocked and questions how they could possibly invade Talua. Shrills responds that since the Talkan of White squad had been in isolation training, it would take time to regroup them. Therefore, they needed to strike Talua before that happened. Kella realizes that Talua is far larger than Arsal, and luck alone wouldn't win this war. He suggests to Shrills that with a hunt for him underway, it's likely the Talkan of White squad had already regrouped. Attacking Talua with just the three of them made no sense. They needed to build their own army and establish a strong base. Rin is surprised by the idea of forming an army and building a base. Kella explains that they needed an army strong enough to challenge the Talkan of White and a base that could withstand an invasion from Talua's forces. He proposes creating the strongest dungeon ever built. Shrills and Rin are stunned by the idea. Kella adds that they couldn't afford to gamble on uncertain battles, or they would end up like his father. Instead, they would wage war by first constructing the strongest dungeon. Rin grows excited while Shrills agrees, acknowledging that Kella's plan was fitting for the son of the Demon King. Kella feels relieved, admitting to himself that he had come up with the idea on the spot. Shrills then declares it's time to start building their army. She knows some demons they could recruit. Both she and Rin appear cheerful and motivated. Kella reflects on how much they liked his plan. For him, this was all part of stalling for time. He wanted to create a world of his own, one where no one would interfere, his perfect world, one he couldn't build in reality. Kella asks Shrills if she really knows some trustworthy demons. She confirms it. He says the first recruit must be someone with strong knowledge of geography and terrain. Shrills acknowledges and says she knows someone. They set off right away. While on the journey, Kella begins learning Arsal's magic. It wasn't something he should have been able to pick up so quickly, but thanks to the Demon King's blood, he progressed fast. For the first time, he was learning and using magic with his own hands. It made him feel closer to his goal. 4 days later, Shrills informs the group that they are almost there. Rin expresses doubt about a demon living in such a barren place. Shrills explains that it didn't used to be like this, until Talkan staged an ambush. She warns them to stay still no matter what. Suddenly, some demons approach aggressively. One of them drives a spear into Shrills and shouts his intention to kill her, believing she is from Talcon. Shrills remains calm and notes that it seems the demons haven't heard of her. Rin, shocked by the attack, yells at Shrills to reveal the truth and stop letting herself be harmed. Kella, however, tells Rin to stay quiet and let things play out. The demons, confused by her lack of resistance, ask why she isn't fighting back. Shrills says she will accept their rage until they feel satisfied and bows before them. This gesture surprises the demons, who recognize it as a sacred symbolic pose only known among their kind. Shrills apologizes to them as a fellow demon. The demons are stunned to learn that she's one of them, especially since she had previously been seen with the Talcon soldiers. Kella steps in, declaring that he is the last remaining child of the demon king, Hel Khaldun, and vouches for Shrills. The overwhelming demonic energy radiating from Kella shocks the demons, and they realize he truly is the son of the demon king. One of the demons confirms Kella's identity and refers to him as Young Master. All the demons bow before him and offer their greetings to His Highness Hel Khaldun, identifying themselves as the earth demons of the land. Shrills points out that the demons recognize him as the rightful heir. Watching the scene unfold, Kella begins to believe that building his own army might not be as difficult as he once thought. Inside the demon city, all the demons gather and greet Kella with great respect. An old demon steps forward, offering to prepare anything Kella might need, and awaits his command as the son of the great demon king. Kella observes the city's architecture and notes how different it is from the demon king's castle and arsal. He's impressed by how such a sturdy city was built using natural materials and no magic. The city's hidden underground location is remarkable, and without the demons revealing themselves, he would never have imagined its existence. Turning to Shrills, Kella admits she was right about needing the Earth Demon's talent. Shrills, pleased, reminds him that she had told him so. Beyond the builders, she also mentions a powerful warrior worth recruiting. Curious, Kella asks about this warrior. Shrills explains that during a journey to the Demon King's castle, Talcon had discovered the Earth Demon City. On General Killman's orders, the forest that hid the city was burned down, pushing the Earth Demons to the brink of extinction. At that moment, a demon had stepped forward in defiance, refusing to let innocent non-combatant demons be harmed. He stood firm, declaring his warrior pride and swearing to protect the children. Impressed, Killman asked the demon his name. He introduced himself as Douglas, a son of the Earth Demons. Killman acknowledged Douglas's spirit and wished he had been born a human. He then ordered his soldiers to leave the city and continue the journey to the Demon King's castle. Douglas was left stunned by the mercy. As they left, Shrills told him that his bravery had saved his tribe. Even after they were gone, Douglas remained in disbelief. Returning to the present, Shrills tells Kella that Douglas didn't flee and stayed to protect the children till the very end. Rin is surprised and expresses admiration for Douglas, saying even his name sounds trustworthy. Kella, recognizing the value of a combat-capable Earth Demon, considers Douglas more than he could have hoped for. After finishing his meal, Kella tells the old demon that he wants to meet Douglas. The old demon warns that Douglas is quite stubborn and suggests finding someone else. But Kella remains firm and insists on meeting him, asking for his whereabouts. Later, Kella approaches Douglas, but Douglas refuses to listen. He states that despite Kella being the son of the Demon King, he is not obligated to follow him. Kella then asks what if he used force, to which Douglas replies he would fight until death. Kella questions Douglas's strong attachment to the place. Douglas responds that he was born and raised there, and it is his duty to protect his homeland. Therefore, he cannot leave. Kella admits Douglas is indeed as stubborn as rumored. Douglas apologizes for his stance. Kella reflects on how hard he had tried to obtain someone like Douglas in the game. It's unfortunate that Douglas would rather die than join him. As he walks away, Kella again admires the efficient architecture and wishes for someone with Earth Demon knowledge to work alongside him. Just then, he sees Shrills and Rin approaching, clearly drunk and carrying drinks. Annoyed, Kella wonders if they even notice how hard he is working while they indulge themselves. Eventually, Kella joins them and drinks beer. While drinking, he comments on the unusual taste of yams in the beer. Shrills jokes that Kella is once again talking nonsense and notes that he's completely drunk. The old demon remarks that they're all drunk already and instructs his servants to take them to the best resting chambers. Sometime later, Kella is fast asleep in his room. Suddenly, a group of people enters armed with weapons. One of them approaches Kella and without hesitation attacks him, declaring that Kella would die there that night. As Douglas strikes at Kella with his weapon, Kella quickly shifts his head to the side, narrowly avoiding the blow. Confirming his suspicions, Kella states to himself that now he's certain. He immediately jumps down from the bed. The attackers realize he was never asleep and shout that the coward Kella must be killed. Kella, while watching them, recalls how he had been doubtful about Douglas creating non-weapon items at the smithy. The restraints clearly weren't designed for orcs. While examining the area, he had sensed someone following him, prompting him to become even more cautious. Eventually, he discovered a wall hidden with a subtle magical barrier, so faint that it would have gone unnoticed if not for the Demon King's mana within him. There was also something else that had felt off. Shrills had clearly mentioned that Douglas was protecting young dark elves, yet Kella hadn't seen any of them anywhere in the village. That's when everything had finally started to make sense. With this understanding, Kella unleashes his ability and eliminates all the attackers in a single blow, sparing only Douglas. He confronts Douglas, explaining that it wasn't about saving the children, but about not handing them over. Douglas hadn't protected them. He had simply refused to let them be taken. Douglas stands stunned, unable to respond. Kella then suggests that they should go and release the magical barrier. He brings Douglas in front of the villagers, but instead of relief, the villagers draw their weapons and surround Kella. Observing this, Kella concludes that everyone had been involved from the beginning. Otherwise, such a setup wouldn't have been possible. The old demon reacts in shock, asking Douglas if he truly failed. Douglas apologizes in response. Kella warns everyone not to move, threatening Douglas's life if they take even a step. The old demon, filled with rage, questions how someone like the coward Kella could have done this. Kella takes Douglas to the wall and demands the door be opened. Douglas pulls out a pink-colored orb and places it inside a hole in the wall, which triggers the gate to open. Inside the hidden chamber, Kella finds a large number of dark elves. Seeing them, he is taken aback by their terrible condition, far worse than he had expected. Just then, Shrills and Rin arrive, rushing in. Shrills checks on Kella, expressing her anger at the cowardly ambush. Kella turns to her and requests to see the memories of one of the dark elves through memory transfer magic. Shrills responds that it won't be as clear as transferring her own memories, but confirms it's possible. Kella asks her to proceed. Using her ability, Shrills shows him the memory of a dark elf. The memory reveals the horrifying truth of their lives. The elf explains how their existence was born out of forced pregnancies and childbirth. Every life in that place began this way. Young elves selected by human nobles were taken away by force, sold for enormous amounts of money. Occasionally, captured adults from the outside world shared tales of a different life, of an endless sky, blue oceans, delicious food, and free-spirited travels. These were things the children inside could never even imagine. If there was one wish before dying, it would be for their children to experience that outside world. After witnessing the memory, Kella becomes overwhelmed with fury. Enraged, he curses the earth demons for allowing such a pathetic existence. Without hesitation, Kella turns toward Douglas and lands a powerful punch on him. Kella's punch sends Douglas crashing straight into the wall. Shrills, shocked, questions whether Douglas ever intended to save the children. Rin accuses him of trying to smuggle them instead. Douglas admits it. Dark elves, being a rare race desired by human nobles, were ideal to be raised as livestock. Their connection with nature allowed peaceful living wherever they settled, making them perfect for exploitation. Shrills bursts with anger while Rin questions how he could enslave fellow demons. Douglas defends himself, stating that after the Demon King's death, dark elves became necessary for survival against humans. Hearing this, Kella reflects on his own pain under his father's control, realizing it was nothing compared to what these children had endured. He knows he can't ignore this anymore. Kella tells Shrills and Rin that they must finish what Killman started. Shrills agrees, furious at the betrayal. Rin says she can't forgive them either. Kella affirms they will cleanse the place of the earth demons. Douglas, in panic, calls on the other demons to fight back, claiming there are only 3 enemies. Hearing this, the remaining earth demons charge forward. Rin warns that the orcs have joined the attack. Shrills, while attacking, reminds them they're rebelling against the bloodline of the great Demon King. Douglas tries to rally the demons, claiming Kella is weak and unworthy of obedience. Rin firmly declares that Lord Kella will become the next Demon King. Douglas launches an attack on Kella, but Kella catches his hand. Kella thinks to himself that this is no game. It's real life. If he has the power to change things, he will act. With that, he delivers a heavy kick to Douglas's face. The imprisoned dark elves witness everything. One of the girls wonders if the trio is fighting for them, deciding they must help. Another elf tries to stop her, fearing that if they lose, the torture will return. The first elf is shocked at the word torture, and begins to recall the horrific days of abuse they had suffered. Hearing their cries, Kella turns to Douglas, telling him he'll be made to feel all the pain he caused. Douglas quickly pulls out an earth ore from his pocket and swallows it. He urges the other demons to do the same, telling them that losing means losing everything. The other demons follow suit and consume their own earth ores. Seeing this, Rin is surprised, believing those ores were just myths. Kella asks what they are. Shrills explains that consuming earth ores boosts a demon's physical strength several times in exchange for a portion of their lifespan. Douglas's strength begins to surge. Fueled by rage, he declares that he will kill Kella. Kella observes the sudden rise in Douglas's power and realizes their demonic energy has increased dramatically. He knows he still can't access all the abilities bestowed upon him by Hell. Douglas charges with a powerful punch, and Kella senses the danger. But suddenly, tree-like tentacles emerge from the ground, wrapping around Douglas and restraining him. Douglas is stunned by the sudden attack and demands to know what's happening. The source of the attack is revealed to be the elf girl, who says she never wants to be tortured again. The other elves watch in awe. Enraged, Douglas yells at her, promising a slow, painful death. Kella, furious, warns him that it will never happen again. With those words, he drives his hand deep into Douglas's abdomen. Then, turning to the elf girl, Wood, Kella smiles and tells her that he thinks he likes her. Hearing this, Wood is left stunned. Douglas, enraged, lashes out at Wood, accusing her of betrayal despite being the one who raised her after she was abandoned. His fury escalates as he screams, startling Kella, who notices that Douglas's body has grown even larger. Without warning, Douglas lands a powerful punch on Kella, slamming him into the wall. Kella, dazed, wonders if the earth magic stone Douglas consumed truly holds that much strength. Douglas then storms toward Wood, grabs her by the neck, and lifts her off the ground. Wood, overwhelmed with pain, is unable to speak or fight back. Kella realizes Douglas has lost his mind, focusing entirely on killing Wood instead of finishing their fight. The situation is dire, and Kella knows he needs a long-range attack to stop him. Suddenly, Kella finds himself in an unfamiliar space, shocked by the abrupt shift. A dark spiritual presence speaks to him, explaining that he is within his own consciousness. Confused but furious, Kella demands to know the identity of the spirit. The spirit avoids answering and instead urges him to focus on saving Wood, warning that even if time flows slowly here, he must act fast. Realizing the urgency, Kella asks if the spirit has a way to save Wood. The spirit explains that although Kella isn't yet ready to fully wield the power bestowed by Hel Khaldun, as his mind and body sink further, he will gradually unlock more. Kella pushes aside the details and demands to know what power he can use immediately. The spirit reveals that there is one technique he can access now and cryptically refers to Kella by his full name, Kella Khaldun, Kang Chiwu, before vanishing. This shocks Kella, who wonders how the spirit knew his real name. Just then, a fire arrow infused with the Demon King's energy forms in Kella's hand. Aiming the arrow at Douglas, Kella warns Wood to protect herself. Reacting quickly, Wood bites Douglas's hand and shields herself with her tentacles. Kella declares an end to Douglas's evil and releases the fire arrow. The shot lands directly on Douglas, engulfing his entire body in blue flames. As Douglas screams in agony, Kella confirms it was a direct hit. Despite the victory, Kella is left pondering the true identity of the entity he encountered within his consciousness. Meanwhile, more demons begin charging toward Rin. Sreels expresses frustration that she can't use splash magic due to the low ceiling. Kella reassures them, promising to end it swiftly. He fires another arrow that hits the approaching demons directly. Seeing this, Sreels feels a surge of joy, noting that Kella's fire arrow was infused with powerful demonic energy. She realizes his mana has grown stronger. Kella reflects that he now possesses effective long-range attack capabilities. All the demons burned to ashes, and Rin felt relieved, knowing everything had finally been taken care of. Sreels observed the aftermath and realized that the earth ores were far more powerful than she had expected. Rin was surprised to learn that these ores burned away a person's lifespan. Kella understood the danger and decided that they needed to investigate the ores further. Kella then turned to the captured elves and told them they were now free. He urged them not to let anyone trap them again and to live their lives freely. The elves were shocked to hear they were truly free. When Kella confirmed they could leave the place, they asked if they could take their children away from the hellish place. Overwhelmed with emotion, the elves bowed and expressed their gratitude. Sreels regretted that they wouldn't be able to take the earth demons as subordinates. She realized she had been tricked by them. Rin acknowledged it as a shame, but accepted that nothing could be done now. Kella approached Wood and confirmed that she wasn't born there, but had been captured. When she admitted she had no family to return to, Kella invited her to come with them. He explained they needed someone who could navigate terrain. Wood hesitated, saying she wasn't an earth demon and lacked any talent for navigating terrain. She didn't believe she could be of any help. Kella reassured her, reminding her that she was an elf blessed by nature. Her bravery in the face of danger was enough. He urged her to rise and join them. Hearing this, Wood began to reflect on her past. She couldn't even remember her parents' faces. Abandoned at a young age and taken to that place, she had lived her whole life in suffering. She had believed she would die in that very hell. Overcome with emotion, she cried, wondering if she could really leave and join them. Kella gently corrected her, saying she wouldn't be following him. She would be going with him. With those words, they prepared to leave. Wood expressed her gratitude to Kella. He then narrated how they had taken care of the earth demons and rescued the captured dark elves. He had been worried since the elves had never experienced the outside world. But as demons loved by nature, wherever they went would be better than where they had been. Later, Rin told Wood that, as the newcomer, she needed to listen to them from now on. Wood agreed and offered her full support. Sreels then suggested they find a place where a river flows. Wood picked up the scent of water and pointed in a direction. Rin was impressed by her instincts and acknowledged her skill. Wood humbly thanked her. Curious, Kella asked Sreels why they needed to find a river. Sreels explained that they couldn't keep walking endlessly and needed to find something they could ride. A river might offer that possibility. Excited, Rin joked about catching a dragon. Sreels quickly dismissed the idea, saying they'd be lucky to even find a unicorn. Kella agreed to follow the direction Wood had indicated. Soon they spotted a river where 2 unicorns were drinking water. Suddenly the unicorns heard something and quickly ran off. At that moment, a dragon appeared. Curdly appeared, standing in front of a demon who was on the verge of death. The demon begged her to save him, Observing him, Curdly realized this was the only one who had survived. A flashback followed, showing a moment with the White Squad. One of the members, Talcon, questioned why the family tracking spell wasn't working. Curdly explained that multiple individuals were being detected in many directions. Kalka doubted that so many of Hell's children could remain and asked if it was impossible to identify which one was Kella. Curdly confirmed it. Audria expressed concern about wasting time hunting all of them. Killian concluded there was no choice and decided they would begin tracking other demons scattered across the continent. He asked Curdly to begin the search for Kella first. Curdly mentioned she could teleport a certain distance on her own, which might be quicker. Another member agreed and said they would continue cleaning up in the meantime. Curdly acknowledged and teleported away. Back in the present, Curdly sensed faint traces of Hel Khaldun's child and wondered if Kella had passed through the area. The dying demon confirmed it and revealed that Kella had wiped out their entire tribe. Curdly asked where he had gone. The demon said he didn't know but begged to be saved. Without hesitation, Curdly attacked his head, killing him instantly. She declared he was useless without information and decided to follow the remaining energy trace. The next morning, Kella and his companions reached the river. Kella was impressed that Wood had led them there based solely on scent, even though it had been days away. Wood humbly accepted the praise. Rin, feeling slightly irritated, warned Wood not to get too confident. Wood apologized immediately. Kella complained of hunger since they hadn't eaten properly for days. Rin claimed she was great at fishing and volunteered to go ahead. However, Wood suddenly caught several fish at once from the river. Kella was shocked and asked how she did it. Wood explained she had used the power of nature to control the water flow. Shrills was impressed by her ability. Rin began feeling jealous. As she lit a fire, Shrills told her it wasn't needed. Hearing this, Rin became disheartened and went to sit under a tree. The group started eating and Shrills complimented the food. Kella noticed Rin wasn't eating and asked her. Rin said she was fine, so Shrills claimed Rin's portion, to which Rin agreed. As Kella ate the fish, he remarked that it wasn't enough and wondered if there were fruits nearby. Hearing this, Rin immediately got up and volunteered to find some. Wood also stood up, offering to help, but Kella gently stopped her and said Rin would go. Rin, now excited, assured them she would bring the most delicious fruits. Shrills commented that Rin was such a simpleton. She then asked Kella if he had done that on purpose because Rin was feeling down. Kella simply said he just wanted fruit. Kella then asked Wood if unicorns might be nearby. Wood responded that she had smelled them in her younger days and sensed a similar scent around here. Kella hoped that a dragon might be nearby too, as Rin had wished. Shrills reminded him again that dragons didn't exist here. Meanwhile, Rin was happily searching for fruits. She spotted one and moved forward to pluck it, excited to find a perfectly ripe one. As she reached out, the ground beneath her began to shake. Looking down, she realized with horror that she was standing on the head of a dragon. Terrified, Rin froze in place. Kella and his companions sat around a fire talking. He asked Wood if she could naturally sense the energy of the earth. Wood confirmed she could, though she found it hard to describe. She explained she could feel the energy of nature within a limited range. Kella wondered if it was similar to viewing a map in a game. Shrills commented that such an ability was useful for locating dungeons. Wood admitted the range wasn't very far and wasn't sure how helpful she could be. Kella asked if the range could be extended through training. Wood mentioned there was a way. By consuming the clairvoyant stone of a dragon that had lived for over a millennium, she could increase her sensing distance by several hundred times. Kella was surprised at how much it could increase. Shrills pointed out that finding a dragon wasn't easy, and even if they did, killing one was nearly impossible. Kella asked if dragons were truly that powerful. Shrills confirmed they were apex predators of nature and generally hostile to demons. Only a few humans with extremely strong mental strength could tame them. Kella found it ironic that such strong creatures could only be tamed by weak humans. Shrills said trying to understand dragons wasn't worth the effort. Kella still wished they could obtain the clairvoyant stone somehow. Shrills dismissed the idea, saying it was pointless to hope. Kella agreed, but still wished they could find one for Wood. Suddenly, Rin came running toward them, screaming, with a dragon chasing behind her. The group was shocked and immediately fled. While running, Kella questioned why they were encountering a dragon, especially one so large. Shrills admitted even she had never seen a dragon of that size before. Far away, Curdly heard the dragon's roar and recognized the sound. Kella and his team hid behind a large rock. Shrills peeked out and saw the dragon, then turned to Rin, shouting in frustration, asking what she had brought back from her fruit search. Rin cried and apologized, saying she didn't expect a dragon to be nearby. Wood observed the dragon's size and suspected it might have lived for over a millennium. Hearing this, Kella was startled. Curdly appeared beside him and confirmed that such a dragon would indeed possess a clairvoyant stone. Kella was thrilled, realizing this might be a rare opportunity. The group turned to look at Curdly in silence. Kella then asked who she was. Shrills was shocked to recognize her and revealed she was Curdly of the Talcon of White. The others were equally stunned. Rin questioned why a Talcon squad member was there. Kella, sensing danger, readied his fire arrow. Shrills warned that Curdly was known for being a merciless, cold-blooded mage. Kella panicked, thinking about how he had hoped for a peaceful life after escaping the Demon King's castle, yet kept facing one danger after another, and now a cold-blooded mage stood before him. Curdly urged them to calm down, stating there was no need to fight. Kella was confused. Curdly addressed Shreels, calling her a traitor to the Talcon, and reminded her that resisting was pointless since she could kill them all with a single spell. Kella turned to Shreels for confirmation. Shreels, reluctantly, admitted Curdly wasn't bluffing and was indeed stronger than all of them combined. Rin panicked, asking what they should do now. Curdly explained there was no reason to fight here. If they followed her peacefully, they wouldn't have to die, for now. Kella asked where she wanted them to go. Curdly replied that she was taking them to Captain Killian. As expected, Shreels sensed something and questioned whether he had already begun to move. Curdly confirmed that their captain was searching for Kella Khaldun and instructed everyone to follow her. Kella, growing tense, realized that if this was true, following her would only lead to death. Curdly implied he might survive a bit longer if he complied. Terrified, Kella thought about how he had dreamt of living like he was inside a game. But now, facing a pathetic end, he decided he would rather fight to the death than accept it. With that resolve, Kella fired his fire arrow at Curdly. She effortlessly blocked the attack with her magic shield. Shreels launched her own attack next, but it too failed against the barrier. Wood joined in, causing tree tentacles to rise from the ground and grab hold of Curdly. Meanwhile, Rin felt the weight of being useless to Kella and didn't want to die doing nothing. Determined, she charged and struck the shield with her hand. Seeing this, Shrill shouted at her not to use close-range attacks. Curdly responded immediately and struck Rin, launching her back violently. Curdly then declared that even bringing Kella's corpse would suffice. With that, she cast a powerful blizzard spell. In response, Shrills created a protective shield around them and urged everyone to stay close. Rin ran inside the shield just in time. Thanks to Shrill's barrier, Curdly's attack failed to reach them. Kella turned to Rin and asked if she was okay. Rin, lying down, apologized, blaming herself for never being helpful. Shrills reminded her that this wasn't the time for such talk, as her shield wouldn't hold for much longer. Kella, panicked, asked if Shrills had any spells strong enough to counter Curdly's magic. Shrills admitted that even if she had something, the difference in their magic circles was too vast. Curdly continued her relentless assault. Shrills warned that her shield was beginning to crack. Kella realized that if the shield broke, they would all die at her hands. Frantic, Kella tried to think of a way out. Suddenly, he remembered a presence deep within his consciousness. He wondered if he could reach it again. Desperately, he began focusing all his effort on entering that inner realm. Shrills noticed his strange behavior and warned him that using too much strength would cause the shield to break even faster. Still, Kella continued trying, urging the presence within to come out. At that moment, the dragon sensed the energy. Curdly noticed something too. She could feel Hel Khaldun's energy from Kella. She realized it only surfaced when he exerted himself like this, which explained why she hadn't been able to locate him earlier. Even so, she concluded that it was over now. Inside the shield, Kella kept struggling, questioning why he couldn't enter his consciousness. He recalled that the presence usually appeared when he was near death. Just then, Shrills cried out that the shield was breaking. A moment later, her barrier completely shattered. Curdly's attack was just about to strike them when, to everyone's shock, the dragon appeared and blocked the attack right in front of them. The entire group stood frozen, stunned by what they had just witnessed. Curdly stared at the dragon in disbelief, unable to understand why it would interfere like this. The dragon moved close to Kella, and as it approached, Kella began to witness its memories. Within those memories, he saw his mother, realizing that the dragon must have known her. The emotions in those memories were tender and bittersweet. Back in the present, the dragon told Kella to run away. Surprised, Kella questioned if that voice truly belonged to the dragon. The dragon then brought out a glowing orb-like object from its mouth and handed it to Kella. It was the dragon's clairvoyant stone. Confused, Kella wondered why the dragon would give it to him. The dragon quickly responded, saying there was no time to explain, and urged him to hide his powers and flee. As Kella tried to make sense of everything, the dragon turned around and launched a powerful attack at Curdly. She blocked it with her magic shield and found it odd that a dragon would choose to protect a demon. Kella realized there was no time left to think and shouted for everyone to run. While the dragon kept attacking Curdly, she questioned why such a powerful being would choose to interfere now, seeing it as something worth investigating. Angered, the dragon increased the intensity of its attacks. In response, Curdly decided to go all out too. A massive magic circle appeared in the sky, summoning a gigantic stone. This was her spell, Meteor. The dragon looked up at the falling stone, recalling memories of its owner, Kella's mother. The enormous boulder crashed down onto the dragon, causing a massive explosion. Kella, still running, turned to witness the blast. The scene shifted to the fallen dragon, now crushed beneath the massive stone and on the verge of death. Curdly approached it, remarking on the strangeness of a dragon aiding demons. She decided to peer into its memories before it passed. But before she could, the dragon used its own fire breath on itself. Flames engulfed its body as it began to burn. Just before death, it declared that a time would come when she would regret all her actions. With that, the dragon was completely reduced to ash. Curdly observed the aftermath and noted how the dragon had ended its own life. This had bought Kella just enough time to hide his presence and escape. Although troublesome, she believed it wouldn't change the inevitable. Kella Khaldun was still fated to die at the hands of the White Talcans. Kella and his companions regrouped after the battle. Thrills questioned the dragon's actions, confused by how it first tried to kill them but later saved them. Wood suggested that the dragon was trying to help Kella, noting how it had appeared the moment Kella used his demonic powers. She asked if he knew anything about it. Kella revealed that he had briefly seen the dragon's memories and believed it had known his, Kella's, mother in the past. Rin wondered about the unusual bond, as dragons typically didn't get along with demons, and she became curious about their backstory. Kella admitted he didn't know the full story, but he had sensed a bittersweet emotion from the dragon. Shrills then reminded Kella that the dragon had given him something. Kella showed them the red orb, confirming it was the same object. Rin recognized it as the dragon's clairvoyant stone. Shrills was surprised, realizing the dragon not only saved them, but also entrusted them with its precious item. She speculated that they might have just been saved by the queen herself. Kella, still processing everything, reflected on the connection between the dragon and his mother. There had definitely been something meaningful in the dragon's eyes. Without hesitation, Kella handed the stone to Wood, saying they were lucky to have received it and that she should take it. Shrills agreed, pointing out that the White Talcan was already hunting them, and they needed to prepare with everything they had. Wood hesitated, knowing how rare the item was, but Kella insisted, reminding her no one else could use it. He urged her to consume it quickly. Wood followed his instructions and swallowed the stone. Instantly, a strange sensation took over her body, and her eyes began to glow a bright red. At that moment, the dragon's story began to unfold. It revealed that it had been born into a world of torment, used as a test subject in human experiments. The humans were merciless, repeating cruel procedures daily, never letting the dragon die, healing it just enough to keep the experiments going. This torture went on for centuries. Eventually, its mind shattered, and it gave up on everything, merely waiting for death. Salvation came during a demon invasion led by Turk Khaldun, known as one of the most fearsome demon kings. The lab was destroyed during the attack, and the dragon finally escaped that hell. Soaring through the sky, tasting freedom for the first time, it sought out other dragons. It tried to warn them about the cruelty of humans and urged them to side with the demons. But the other dragons didn't believe it. They had already formed close bonds with humans and were helping them fight the demons. Few dragons realized that their bond with humans was built on the foundation of painful sacrifices. Sacrifices like the dragon itself. Humans had used dragons for experiments to understand their magic and form closer relationships. But the truth was denied. The dragon was rejected by all. By humans, demons, and even its own kind. Alone and purposeless, it questioned why it was even born if it couldn't belong anywhere. In despair, it withdrew into endless darkness and isolation, wasting away in solitude. Then came the turning point, the moment it met Karista. When Kariste saw the dragon, she ran toward it, calling it Mommy. The dragon was shocked, but Kariste hugged it tightly and cried uncontrollably in its arms. It was in that moment that the dragon finally understood. Perhaps it had just discovered the reason it was born.